Hey everyone, and welcome. The birds you see in your backyard, they might be telling you a lot more than you think. They're kind of like an early warning system for the health of our environment. So today, we're going to explore how you can turn that casual bird watching into a really powerful tool for science.
So let's just jump right in with a huge question. Are local birds actually an environmental alarm? And the answer is absolutely yes. They are so much more than just pretty creatures to look at. Think of them as living messengers, out there telling us these really critical stories about the health of our planet.
And why is that? Well, it's because wild birds are what scientists call living indicators. They're just incredibly sensitive. Their presence, their absence, or even a tiny shift in their population, all of that can signal big environmental changes long before we humans would ever notice them on our own.
Okay, so that brings us to the why. Why bother counting them systematically? Well, because every single count isn't just a number you jot down. It's a piece of a puzzle, a part of a bigger story about the health of our local ecosystems. And honestly, it's a story we really need to be listening to.
Their sensitivity is just remarkable. Think about it. If a forest is cleared, birds are some of the very first to leave. If the water quality in a river drops, you can bet the birds that depend on it are going to be affected. And when their migration patterns start shifting, well, that can be a super clear sign of broader climate change. Every single observation you make is a crucial data point.
All right, so let's say you're in. You're ready to start listening. But how do you actually do it in a systematic way? Let's break down the 4 basic survey methods you can use to turn your observations into really valuable data.
Okay, first step is the point count. This is super simple. You might just sit on a park bench for, say, 10 minutes and record everything you see in here. Easy, right? Then there's the line transect. For this, you'd walk a specific trail, maybe along a river, and you'd count birds as you go. Now, the bird call survey. This is your best friend in a dense forest where you're going to hear way more than you can see. And finally, the breeding survey. This is where you confirm a species really thriving by documenting its nesting. But, and this is the big but, this one requires the most care. You have to avoid disturbing them at all costs.
So when you're choosing between those methods, especially the first two, it often comes down to one simple question. Do you want depth or breadth? If you want to do a really deep dive into one specific habitat, a point count is perfect. But if you want a quick snapshot of a much larger, more diverse area, the line transect is absolutely the way to go.
All right, let's talk gear. Now, the great news here is you really don't need a ton of expensive, fancy equipment. Seriously, getting started is super simple and accessible for pretty much everyone.
So this is basically your essential starter kit, a simple notebook, and hey, a waterproof one is a great pro tip if you can find it, a pen or pencil, a good pair of binoculars, and a field guide. And you can totally go old school with a book, or you can use one of the amazing apps that are available right on your phone.
Now, speaking of binoculars, if you're buying your first pair, look for this number, a magnification somewhere between 8x and 10x. That's the sweet spot. For real. It's powerful enough to give you a great view, but it's not so powerful that the natural shake of your hands makes the whole image blurry. It's just the perfect balance.
And hey, don't forget about the super powerful tool that's probably already in your pocket, your smartphone. The GPS can automatically log your precise location, which is awesome. And those bird call ID apps, it's literally like having an expert right there in the field with you, helping you figure out that mysterious song coming from the treetops.
Okay, so once you've got your methods and your gear sorted out, the next step is absolutely crucial, and that is making sure your records are accurate. This is the part that transforms your personal observations into high-quality, scientifically valuable data.
You can think of this as the surveyor's code of conduct. Rule number 1, first and foremost, the bird's welfare always comes first. Never disturb them. Rule 2, your own safety is key. And number 3, always be learning. The more you know, the more accurate your identifications are going to become.
And when it comes to the notes you're taking, one word is absolutely key: specificity. Vague notes like "saw some birds," they aren't really useful for analysis. The real value, the good stuff, comes from the details. What the bird was doing, its exact location, even what the weather was like. So check this out. Here's a great example of what a specific field note looks like. See? It's got all the key elements: date, time, location, and weather. But the most valuable part is right here in the observation itself. You've got the species, the count, and a little description of the behavior. This is the level of detail that provides real scientific value.
Okay, so you've gone out, you've collected all this wonderful, specific data. What happens next?
Well, this is where your individual effort connects to a much bigger picture and really starts to power conservation.
You see, your notes don't just sit in your notebook collecting dust. When you share them with conservation groups and scientists, they become part of these massive data sets. And this data helps answer really critical questions, like, is a certain species population declining? Should this particular park be protected because it's a vital habitat? Your single, small observation genuinely becomes big data that drives real-world conservation. How cool is that?
So, the real question isn't if you should start, but what you'll go look for first. A simple walk in your local park this weekend could be your very first contribution to a global conservation effort. So what's it going to be? Which bird will you go see next weekend?